Hey, what's going on guys? Dano from ModBot here, and in my last video I showed you guys that I got in a LCD screen and some joystick and buttons from Banggood. And before I got too heavily invested in this project, I had noticed that on this joystick, one of the directions to the right, it doesn't click. So like if you go down, left, or up, you hear that feedback from the switches, but to the right it doesn't. And so before I got too invested, I wanted to make sure that it actually worked and was registering, regardless of whether it was making a sound or not. So I went ahead and kind of started doing a little bit of research on ways to test out these joystick buttons. Now, this will definitely work if you get the same kit as the one I got in the description of this video, but if you did not and you got it from somewhere else, it should work all the same. I don't think these are, any kind of brand. They're all really generic. So essentially all it was a kit that came with 8 of these buttons, 2 of these buttons, like the smaller start and select, a joystick, and it came with this little board right here, which just says, I don't know how you can see it, but just says USB. So a couple little things before I show you how I tested it out on the computer is that it doesn't matter, at least it doesn't seem to matter, where you put the red or the black wire on these buttons. It'll work all the same since it's just a switch. One of the directions seems to lock in place better than the other, so there is like a direction, forward or backwards that you'll kind of be able to wiggle with your finger, and one way will lock in, the other way will be kind of loose, so just make sure you have them locked in the correct way so that way they don't slide out. You are able to bend the pins, but these are not the highest quality of parts, so if you do so, I highly recommend getting like some needle nose pliers and kind of gripping the middle to bend it. That way you're not putting the stress on the actual switch itself and it's just staying on the metal leg. That's another little tip or pointer. Also, this part right here on the joystick where there's this white plug that connects in, it only goes in one way. Or okay, that's not true. It goes in either way, but it only works one way. And so I had it originally upside down, and when I tested it, it still worked. It registered when I went one direction with this joystick, but the other directions it didn't register. So make sure if you're having issues with your joystick, you have this pin or this plug plugged in the right way. There's no obvious way that looks correct. They both look like they'd be correct, so check that if you're having issues with your joystick. As far as the buttons go in here, it doesn't seem like it matters where you plug anything in really. The USB part plugs into the corner and the joystick part plugs into where I have the joystick plugged in, but as far as the buttons go, it doesn't seem to matter at all because you'll be mapping them with whatever emulation software you're using later on. So the first method I'm going to show you how to test out your buttons and stuff is going to be the way I did it, which is on Windows and Windows only. The other way I did not really test out too much, but I checked it briefly and it seemed like it was working, and that'll work across, I would assume, all platforms. So let me go ahead and go over to the computer and I will show you guys what I did on that point. So one other thing I'd like to point out is that I am running Windows 10. I'm not sure how this will work on Windows 7 or 8, or if you have anything older than that. I would like to think they would work the same, but as many of you know with Windows, it's kind of unpredictable and I don't know what each version will do. But for the sake of it, when I plugged in my controller board, the driver it installed was, for this, a generic USB joystick. So hopefully that's what yours will pop up to. Again, you'll know if you just go under Start or go over to your control panel and go over to Hardware, Sound, Devices, Printers, and that's where I was, or where I am. Next, again, I'm not sure how different it'll be on Windows 7 or 8, but if you just go to this little search area right here, you type in joy.cpl, it's a control panel item, as you can see in my taskbar, hit enter. It'll open up this, which will have your game controllers or generic USB joystick. So it's saying status okay. So if you go to properties, it'll pop this window up right here, and this window will allow you to again test all of your things. So right now I'm on my my joystick's plugged in, so if I click left, it goes left, down, right, up, and then mine's at 8-axis, so if I go like the corner buttons, I can do that too. So you just basically go in a circle testing them all out, and as you can see, they are all working correctly. And then along with that, you want to check your buttons to make sure they're working accordingly, and you can see all the different buttons down here. these aren't just the ones you have plugged in. It only has 12 slots, which I don't like. Mine only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 plugged in right now, so that's fine. I don't know what would happen if you have more than 12, but for me, again, I press my button, then 12 lights up, another button, 9 lights up, another button, 7, another button, 6, 5, 10, 8, and 11. And again, it doesn't matter the order, because no matter what emulation software you're using, in that software you'll just map each controller button to the corresponding button you want it to be on your joystick or your joypad thing. So yeah, if you have Windows, then you're done. That's how you test it out, and I hope that will help you out. Again, if you're not on Windows, I'll show you a little thing that I found online. So if you go to Google and you type in just joystick tester on Google, there's this thing called html5gamepad.com. If you click on that, it will, I can test all my stuff. So down, left, up, which seems to be the same thing as down, same axis. Yeah, okay, so you can see different number, the 1 versus -1, and then 1 versus -1, and then you can see when I do the corners, it does -1, -1, -1, -1, 1, 1, 1, -1, and then buttons. So the buttons seem to work. So this might be a cool way if you don't have Windows. Try it on someone that has like a Mac or is running Linux. Maybe try it on here and see if that works. But this is something else that should work if you don't have Windows. If you have Windows, again, I just recommend using the little tester thing that I have here because it works really well. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, I'm trying to learn from my past mistakes and test things out before I get too involved in a project and something goes wrong and then I have to backtrack a bunch of steps. At least if you check it from the get-go, you can eliminate a lot of headache and problems later on. So again, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to smack the like button and subscribe for more great videos. I'm really excited with how this project's going, and I will show you guys it as it comes along. So on that note, I am out. Peace, guys.